Hello. A bit of a different angle tonight. Um, basically, I don't have my usual laptop, so you're propped up against the mason jar right now. I've been having just like, okay. I'm sorry, this is a mess already. Who cares? I've been having a lot of thoughts about like relationships, and I don't mean like necessarily romantic relationships, just relationships in general. And I've been having a lot of thoughts about like just social interaction, like what it's like to interact and do social interaction. And I say that, and it sounds like I'm like an alien or something that's never done social interaction, right? But I think recently I've just sort of been kind of hyper focused on what it's actually like to interact with people and what it means to have a successful relationship and what it means to have good social interaction, like good conversation, or to be a part of a good moment or anything like that. Today, I went bowling with a bunch of friends. Well, a few friends and a bunch of people I'd really barely ever spent time with. It was good. Honestly, it was fun. But I found oh sorry. I found that since I've been thinking so much about social interaction and like I mean, I'll break it down a little more, but since I've been thinking about it more, I found myself like hyper vigilant of the actual like social socializing that was occurring, and it kind of made it harder to interact with it because I was like just focused on it, you know? Um, like instead of just being in the moment, I was thinking about how can I be in the moment, right? Um, yeah, it was and it wasn't, constant or anything like that, but I don't know, I just, I was just thinking about it a fair amount, just like, okay, I don't know this person, how do I act in front of them? And I mean, at this point, I'm always just myself wherever I go. I don't really put on an act or a show very much for anybody outside of what's natural to do when you're out and about. Um, I'm not really like that reserved or that shy or anything. So, oh, sorry, I'm yawning so much. It's like almost like like 2, 3 in the morning, or 2 in the morning. But I was sitting just in between the rounds of bowling, and like people do like okay, so one thing that like I don't really understand all that well is like I mean I understand it, but I don't really like it, and I don't really like to do it myself. Is like I don't want to say like deprecating humor, but like just like making fun of your friends or like shitting on them or like being like snotty or rude or whatever for a joke or like for fun. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's like like a one-off thing. Um, but like doing it over and over, like sometimes it can be like kind of funny or clever or whatever. But um, I'm specifically thinking about one time I did. My friend was going up to bowl and she was stinking it up that game, and a guy came by with a one of those like easy bowling plastic things where you put the ball in and it just goes. And he's like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, "No, actually, please put that down for her." and then she immediately threw a gutter ball, which was just great comedic timing. So that was pretty funny. But I generally don't like to like make jokes like that, or like be mean to people. Um, yeah, I just don't like to do that. I don't think it's nice. I'd rather we all like uplift each other and just be nice, and you don't have to like make jokes at other people's expense. It's generally something I don't really like to do, but it's like a pretty common thing. And so when it happens, I get immediately hit with the thought of like, oh, I don't really like that, and I don't like know how to follow up on it sometimes. And that's just an example of like some social kinds of things that like I don't really like, but a lot of people do. Um, yeah, and it's just like social, like, I mean, cultural, like things that we're used to. It's just like just kind of what you do when you're hanging out with people for the most part, right? Like I've noticed most people around my age, we all kind of we have like similar uh, like like ways of interacting with with one another, right? Like it's a cultural thing. But I don't really like a lot of the cultural stuff, I guess. For the most part, I actually really like talking with like older people or certain other people who will just like blab your ear off and like open up a lot and like those sorts of things. Um, yeah, and they're usually not very mean. Like I haven't talked to this guy in a while, but there's this guy. I think his name was like Lon or something, something with an L. But we went to this coffee shop that I would frequent for work, and I would see him every now and then. And usually at this coffee shop, it's pretty long wait. It's pretty small, like local coffee shop, and they make like pretty nice items. So it's a little longer of a wait. But this guy would be sitting in his spot, drinking his coffee or eating like a pastry or something. And this was an older gentleman. I would say probably like in his like late 80s, 90, like early 90s, something like that. And you could tell, he would tell me about how his friends had been passing away, and like to me it was just like I was actually really excited to talk with this guy when I would see him, because he would ask me lots of questions about myself, and he would answer all of the questions I would ask him with like immense amounts of detail, and he would get into his feelings about them and how he came to those conclusions. And it was like, wow, this is just like a great conversation. And I feel like a lot of people my age, including myself, we don't really have that kind of like conversational like skill for the most part. Like it's a little harder to get into that. Um, and when you're in groups with people, it's like when I'm in groups with people, I guess I sometimes just don't even know how to act, because it's like, okay, well, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, especially with something like, I mean, like, of course it's still fun, but if we're not like, are we supposed to be talking? Are we supposed to, even when I'm like playing games with my friends or something? Like, are we supposed to be talking, or like, do we want to have conversation, or like, what are we here? You know, I guess that's kind of something for me. It's like I oftentimes end up feeling a little like disappointed, because like I want more, and like I of course enjoy spending time with people and hanging out with my friends, and I felt very honored to be invited. And I try my best to bring me as much as I can, and make it a fun time for everybody, make everyone feel included and enjoy, like they're enjoyed there, and to interact with people and to be kind, and everything, right? um, yeah, I guess I just don't really like when people are like not super kind. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. And yeah, I can find like a lot of the, I don't know if this is just like a thing my friend group I've been around does, but a lot of like references. Um, I'm not really good with the with references. Sometimes they're funny for sure, but I'm not really good with references just because I don't really like. I don't really like. I'm not really on like TikTok or anything, and like I'm not like super big on like movies or television. Like I've seen like a lot of like older movies. I'm boring right now, aren't I? Oh my god. I've seen a lot of like older movies, like even in some of my videos, like I made like Star Wars references, like hell yeah, you know. But for the most part, it's like if we're doing like meme references or something, it's like okay, you know. Sometimes those are pretty damn funny. I will not lie. But for the most part, it's like hard for me to interact with that because it's like, what do you do other than parrot it? I guess like I can't really like add onto it or anything. I don't know. So I kind of just like, excuse me, still getting over being sick, I guess. But I kind of just like resort to like slapstick in terms of comedy, just because I don't really know like references too well. So I'm more so just like generally silly and slapstick, and people seem to like that, and I like doing it. So yeah, but it's certainly like alternative compared to what most people do. Most people that I interact with, at least. But enough about my old man yelling at clouds. Social interaction in general has just been something I've been thinking a lot about, and I think my interactions today with my friends bowling, and after bowling, we we went to Taco Bell, like, and the thing is, like, I feel as though I can like read people relatively well, like. If someone's not really happy, or someone's not really like interested in going, or they would rather have like or someone's really interested in going or whatever, like I feel like I can get a pretty good read on most people when I'm around them, and I can kind of tell like the vibe of what's going on, you know. And for the most part, I think that I always thought this was something that like everybody could do, and I'm still not entirely convinced it's not. Like I hear people talk about like like other people not being able to. It's always someone that's like that says that they can do it, and then they assume that other people can't, and it's never like someone who's just like you know, a person saying like, you know, the opposite. Like it's never like someone saying like, oh, I can't believe other people feel vibes in rooms or can read other people. It's like, you know, it's always the opposite. So I feel like most people can actually do that. I think it's just something that more or less people are kind of attuned to, or just maybe they care more or less. And so, like, if you don't really care, you're not really gonna like pay attention to it, and so it's not gonna like pop up on your radar, right? But I was generally like I'm generally someone that like wants everyone to feel included and wants everyone to feel like comfortable and safe and like having a good time. And so, like, I really am kind of hyper vigilant about those things. I don't know where I was going with this. Give me a second. I say give me a second, and then my mind just goes blank. That's how recording these videos goes. Whatever. I was talking about how mm, right, social interaction in general. It's so complicated. Like I was thinking about this the other day as I was working. Like I don't think I'm autistic. I don't think so. But I can kind of identify with like autistic people in some ways, because autistic people have um like they don't have they don't have as much neural pruning as a like typical person, like neurotypical kind of person, right? It's like what autism is. You have less neural pruning, and so like your sensory stuff is way more like jacked up, and so like they're just like hyper aware of a lot more things. Like for some people it's like sound really bothers them. For some people it's like social interaction is really hard because they can kind of like there's too many connections going on, you know. Their neural pruning, like in a typical person's mind, you know, those things get pruned out and they get like compartmentalized. But in autistic person's mind, like literally their brain, there's just like less of that, or like there's more connections being made. So I can understand how that would get super overwhelming, because even for myself, when I think about like how complex most social interaction really is, it can be like tiring. And I used to be someone who was super, I don't want to say extroverted, because I don't know if I was really ever like super extroverted, but I used to be someone that could like handle a lot of social interaction. But now, as I've gotten a little older, just recently, like in the past, I don't know, maybe a year or two, I've certainly become someone that like I have a social battery for sure. And if my social battery is getting like drained by just being around so many people, like I need time to just like actually process what the fuck just happened. Even if it's a nice night out with friends, bowling or something, like I need like time to like, okay, what happened? Can I like process this? You know? And I think that's why like something like journaling. Nope, that's my study notebook. Here's my journal. Like journaling is really helpful for me. I really like journaling. Journaling is really good. Good. It literally didn't show anything. Journaling is really helpful for me. Just because I like processing things, and I need to process them to be able to like feel comfortable, or else things kind of like eat away at me. That's also why I do these videos. It's also why I really like long walks. Like, I don't know what it is. Probably some fucked up thing about my like childhood or something, where it's like, oh yeah, I need to like sit down and think about what just happened to me. Even if it's literally like something good or something fun or anything like that. Like I need to be like, okay, let's sit down, let's think about this. And even when I was a kid, I remember doing it like needing to just like sit down and just think like, oh, too much. I need to just like it's like just like sit down and think about this. I don't know what it is. I don't know if everyone's just like that. Maybe they don't like realize it. I genuinely don't know. But I think it's part of what's led me to be to enjoy more like philosophical stuff and more conversation and journaling and all that stuff, because I really enjoy processing things, and it's really helpful for me. So social interaction and my social battery, like I really think it's correlated to like the amount of information I'm able to kind of process um, at once. And I remember like for the majority of my life, I would say like most of my social interaction was pretty like short term, um, but yeah, it was either really short term, so only like a few hours, and it was pretty simple. Like when you're in school, right? It's not like you need to like maybe a whole day of school. Like yeah, maybe some stuff will happen, but usually it's pretty uneventful, right? So it's like okay, it's not like that big a deal. But now, like as an adult, so much more stuff happens in my life, at least comparatively. And like maybe for some people that's not the case, but for me, it kind of is. Like I get far more unique experiences every day now, so journaling is really helpful for that. And just all those social interactions, all that processing, it just drains my social battery, and I'm like, I need some time. Like I'm planning on taking a weekend away, um, like next not next weekend, but the weekend after that. I'm going on a trip with some friends, really excited about it. But I'm like, okay, do I bring my journal with me? Like do I bring it with me? Probably. Like, I probably should. Um, because I think we're gonna be spending 2 nights at this place, and so it's like, okay, 2 nights. I would probably want to bring my journal. Probably want to just in case bring like my notebook and stuff, just so I have it. Anyways, social interaction is certainly something that has just like the complexity of it has become more and more apparent to me recently. And I think it's like it ties into relationships, because well, like you have social interaction with the people you're interacting with, like people that you have relationships with. Like for example, like my best friend was with us bowling today. Like that's my dog. I don't really have to think too much interacting with him, right? But these people that I don't really know, like people I'm meeting for the first time, I don't really know how to interact with them, right? Necessarily. And so, yeah. And so, like, I mean, that's just the most basic way I guess I can put it, like the two extremes. And honestly, like, both of them kind of end up in the same way. Like, I can be myself around my good friend, and I can just be myself around like someone I've never really met. It's not until we start like forming relationships with people and we kind of, so there's this like idea in philosophy. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose. Oh my god. I just realized I can pause and unpause these videos to make cuts. Revolutionary. Okay. So, as I was saying, I was talking about meeting new people. You can just be yourself, right? Some people, like, you can't, like, some people don't do that. For me, I don't really have an issue with that. For me, it's more so like once a relationship has been established, and it's kind of like the in between that. When, oh yeah, I was talking about, so there's this idea in philosophy, I forget exactly who came up with it or anything like that, but it's essentially like your, so everyone has like a perception of themselves, right? And so you have like your self perception. Who do you think you are, right? And then we all have that. And you know, it's like who you are when you're alone. But as soon as you interact with another person, the dynamic shifts a little bit because you now have your perception of yourself, but you also have the reflection of what that person believes about you. And have you have the idea of what does this person think about me. And so you can sort of shift you because of your understanding of what this person thinks about you, you can shift the way you act, if that makes any amount of sense. So say for example you have a friend who you know only in one context. Say it's a friend of yours who you like, it's your your gym buddy, right? This is a guy you know at the gym, or like a coworker or something. You take them and you put them in a separate situation. Say you meet them randomly on the street. How are you to interact, right? You kind of are going to go back into that mode of like, oh, okay, this is how this person and I interact in this certain context. This is what this person thinks of me. You're more likely to talk about topics that you would talk about in probably the normal circumstances in which you'd be meeting this person, right? It's just your belief of what they believe about you reflecting back on yourself. Now, you also have, and this also goes the other way around. So you have your beliefs about another person, which are reflecting onto that person. Then they also have their own self belief. They have themselves, and it's a very interesting concept, especially when those things do not align. You know, who someone is and who they are when they're with you, and vice versa. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting having like stacking these on top of one another, especially when you have like, so for example, like me bowling today. I have my best friend who I act a certain way around. You know, usually act like myself. I have new people who I act like myself around. But I'm also like, I'm acting like myself, but I'm also trying to establish what I'm like, I guess, which like I'm trying to act like how I think I act, so taking my sense of self and trying to act that way, act that out instead of just kind of being like I would around a friend, right? So both are me being myself, but one is a little more performative, I guess, even though it is still me, right? And you can maybe obviously see how this can get really complex really quickly when you have maybe some small amount of inauthenticity and that's something I do want to talk about, which is inauthenticity and how it just like ruins social interaction. Like it makes it so hard when people are inauthentic. And it can kind of be a little straightforward when you think of it that way, and that's how I try to do it. Like I try to always be myself because I know how hard it is when people are inauthentic, right? When it feels like people are two-faced, when it feels like people are, you know, acting one way around you and then acting a different way around other people, or talking behind your back. And we can even do this, subconsciously. Like if you have, maybe say you have an idea about someone that you're interacting with in a group, and you want to talk about that to someone else that's in the group. Maybe you talk with them in one context, one on one. You talk about them and you talk about this other person. Well, now the next time you all interact, there's this extra layer added to it of your discussions with person A about person B. And then you never know if person A and B have been talking about you and now you're person C, right? And that's just three people, right? And you can do that between, two people, right? Say you are, spending time with someone, a new friend who you're trying to hang out with, and you have all of these perceptions about them, whatever, they have all theirs about you. You two part ways. You and this other person take time to process all of the time you spend together, all of the ideas. You each form sort of, compartmentalized versions and ideas about one another in your head, each other's heads. The next time you meet up, you're meeting up with and interacting with that idea of a person as opposed to the person that you have actually met or that's actually there. And so that can be, that can make things difficult because, maybe that person was not acting perfectly authentic, or maybe that person has changed themselves, or maybe just your assumptions are inaccurate. And so that's how I get into like the thoughts of relationships and inauthenticity and how toxic and terrible it is to be inauthentic with another human being. But yeah, social interaction just feels like so much, and a lot of things in our social when we interact socially, they're like, I guess, like under the water, right? So like an ice, as you think of it like an iceberg, right? When you're interacting, and when you're in a social interaction, it's like an iceberg, and the tip of it is maybe what's actually being said, and then the majority of it is like context, body language, tone, or maybe that goes into what's said, like context and body language and ideas, and everything else that goes into it, kind of like societal expectations about how a conversation is supposed to go, everyone's previous experiences, like all of these are under the water, and then what you're seeing is just the tip. You just see the tip of everyone and how they interact, because obviously it's really difficult to have like a conversation with everyone where they're all like laying their souls bare and everything, right? And you can have that. You can have that in a way, I suppose. What I mean more so is if you have like, oh, excuse my yawning. If you have like a family, for example, a healthy family, where you've all known each other for a very long time, or even like a really good friend group where you've all known each other for a very long time, you each all have individual sort of relationships with one another, and it's all very open, and you've experienced a lot of things together. You can have like way more fleshed out social interaction, and that's why I think it's hard to like interact with a group of strangers or anything, or even just people that you're just kind of first meeting, or even someone who you haven't, like, you maybe know quite well, but you haven't interacted with them in this certain like context, like a group. Like for example, my best friend and I, like, we interact completely differently just us alone together than we would in like a full group of people. Why? Because, well, both of us have now kind of reverted to just showing a smaller portion of ourselves, because that's just the nature of a group, right? It's just the nature. Everyone is going to like, you can't have unless maybe you spend a lot of time together, a group that has just met one another, that already has social dynamics built into it and already is fleshed out and already has all of these things. Like, you already have all of these relationships that can maybe build on one another. You can see how this can get really complicated really quickly, especially with the fact what it really is that you nobody talks about this. Like, nobody talks about it. And I don't know if it's that people don't even really realize it or what, but nobody talks about the fact that, like, social interaction is super complex and it's hard, and there's no like manual on how to do it, you know? Like, there's no like I guess manual on like how to talk to. I mean, maybe there's books on this actually. I guess I haven't really thought about that. But it's not like taught to us. It's just something that you're supposed to like know just by like being a human being and like growing up in your culture, I guess. It's just like how to interact with a group of people and how to build relationships in a group of people. Probably that's something we're supposed to learn like when we're kids or like from our families or whatever. Um, but obviously that's, you know, an ideal, not the actual reality for many people. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a weirdo for thinking so much about all this. But like, I just want, like, I want it for the good. Like, I want to be able to be close to a group of friends, have all of us interact well, have all of these fun things. I want to avoid the awkward stuff, you know, because awkward is like, it's awkward, you know. It's not like great. Like, not everyone's gonna wanna have awkward experiences, and trying to avoid that. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like avoiding awkward. I feel like avoiding awkward is just like avoiding. I feel like avoiding awkward is just like avoiding all social interaction. You know, there needs to be some amount of awkwardness. There needs to be some amount of like silence where nobody's talking and everyone's just kind of thinking. There needs to be, and that needs to be able to be comfortable. I think like a lot of people, they don't like the awkward silence because they think it means that like they're doing something wrong. And I get that way too. I get that way too. But I try to just like kind of fake it till I make it, I guess, right? Like, if something's kind of awkward, like, just keep going, you know? Like, I think people will enjoy that more than they won't even, like, for the most part, probably think about even the awkward stuff. I don't know. And it's like almost taboo to bring up that sort of thing where it's like, oh, someone, you know, maybe something, maybe like a joke falls flat or whatever, you know, a joke falls flat, or um, like there's just nothing to be said, or nobody can think of anything, or there's no stories being told, you know, there's nothing going on. um, People like, you know, I feel like most people don't even like really remember that or really even care that much outside of that specific moment. Like, it's uncomfortable because we're sort of socialized, I think, to think it's not okay, or like, you know, you're failing at conversation or whatever, just because people are, you know, there's nothing going on for a second. I think that's also just part of our current cultures. Like, you know, the like all of our attention spans are pretty cooked, right? So going 6 seconds or whatever without anyone speaking just feels like we're all failing at social interaction. Like, no, we're just like, nothing's just happening right now. Like, it's cool. Um, yeah, so I think we need to get used to being awkward. But I think like it. I mean, it's hard because it's like, especially, you know, when like when you want to make a good impression or something like that. But I think a lot of that is more so like made up in our heads, right? Like you don't have to make a good impression. You don't have to. I guess like, if you are just like, I guess what I'm trying to relate to is authenticity. If you are just yourself, that's all that matters. It's as simple as that. If you are yourself, that's all that matters, because yourself, you're going to be awkward. You're going to be, and that's okay. And like, I mean, if you hung out with someone and they were like a little awkward, maybe like 10% of the time, you'd probably still think that person was pretty cool, right? I think it's actually most people think, at least I think, and I think most people think, like being a little awkward is perfectly fine, if not a little endearing. Why? Because it's genuine. Like people can tell when someone's genuine. Like people can also tell when someone's just like forcing conversation or they're forcing topics. We can feel it. It feels uncanny. It feels like whatever. It feels against the grain of like a genuine conversation when someone's just forcing things, right? And just being disingenuous and inauthentic and hiding yourself away, man, it's a band-aid solution that just never allows for any amount of actual healing underneath. It's like putting a band-aid on like an open stab wound to your heart. Like it's like you're just gonna keep leaking out and slowly dying. Maybe like a stomach, I guess, would be slower. You get the analogy. It's painful and it sucks and it hurts, um, but it can feel like the right thing to do, as opposed to confronting the big thing, which is oftentimes we're afraid to be ourselves. Why might someone be afraid to be themselves? I mean, like a bajillion different reasons. One of my sisters, she's a high school senior. She's graduating soon. She was actually did this survey in her school where they talked about people's insecurities, and one of the number one insecurities people had was on their personality. That's so sad. All these people, they don't even like themselves. They don't even like their personality. But then I think back to what I was like in high school, even like what I was like 2 years ago, and I'm like, God damn, that fucking asshole, like that fucking dude. I can't believe like I even had friends, right? Like I sucked. I'm like, okay, I can kind of get it. I can kind of get it, that insecurity. But I think that's very sad. I think that's very, very sad. That so many people feel terrible about just who they are and being themselves. Yeah, I think it's just very sad. So, I mean, truly the amount of reasons someone could dislike themselves are just innumerable. Like, whether it's their upbringing, whether it's like past relationships, whether it's just something about the society they were raised in, something, you know, for many, many reasons. Maybe they were just never allowed to, maybe they were never told it's a good thing, maybe they were even told it's a bad thing. Whatever it may be, maybe they just disagree with their own decisions. Maybe they don't like the things that they do, and they don't feel as though it is connected to who they want to be. They fall short of the ideal that they want to live up to and for who they want to be. Whatever it may be. There are a million reasons, billion reasons someone might dislike themselves and might not want to be authentic. But the problem is that if you're inauthentic, nobody can ever know you and nobody can ever help you. It's like the opposite of crying wolf. Like it's like, you're hurt and you just keep saying you're fine. It's like when you say when you're fine, but you're not really fine. Sorry, it's getting too late, man. It is damn near 3 a.m. now. Somebody asks how you are, you say you're fine when you're not really fine. Oh gosh, so silly, but it's true. It's true. It's like, yeah, like I mean, it's really like, when someone asks you how you're doing, and you just say good, good. Oh, I'm having the worst day of my life. I'm doing good. Like more people need to actually answer that question authentically, but it's hard because our lives are just productivity, no negativity. Like if you bring in that negative energy over here, I don't want it. Like, nah, twin, bring me your energy. I don't care. I want you to be happy and healthy. So many people just don't give a fuck, which is just incredibly sad. Like we should actually care about each other. It's fucking sad we don't. I think that's a systemic societal issue, but it's also something that we can fix. You know, you don't have to be that way. Like you don't have to be that way. You don't have to be someone who you can be the change you want to see in the world. You can be someone other people can confide in and can be themselves with and whatever. And I think genuinely one of the biggest things about that is being the one to open up first, and not being afraid to do so. I've met, you know, I made two new like friends in the past, like a little less than a year, yeah, like 10, 11 months, something like that. I made two close friends. How did I go about this? I met them however I met them, but then I specifically went and hung out with them one on one and just talked to them for hours. So in some cases, hours and hours. And I was just my clear, authentic self, and I opened up to them. And you would genuinely be surprised at how many people will open up to you if you open up to them. So many people are genuine open books, and they just want someone they can be authentic with. They want someone. I mean, if you were talking to someone and they asked you genuinely, "Oh, how are you doing?" and you said good, and they said, "Okay, well, tell me about it. Like, what's going on? Like, whatever." And you literally couldn't tell them something good was happening or whatever, right? And they were just empathetic with you and nice to you or whatever, or maybe you say you don't want to talk about it, and then they open up themselves and say, "Yeah, I get it. You know, I've had times in my life where I've never wanted to talk to anybody. I've been hurting so badly. Um, I'm not gonna, you know, they're just understanding and empathetic, and maybe they share something about themselves." And when we do that, when we open up to people, when we show them those things, when we are authentic, and we create that sense of safety, being a person that someone can connect to and be authentic with, it is reciprocated. I genuinely just think it is. And that just builds healthier relationships for everyone involved, you know. It really does. I think that's just a beautiful thing. And then when you return to maybe a group setting, for example, everything is just better, right? Everything is just better. And you don't have to do this with everybody. You know, there are people in your life that you can just have as an acquaintance, as a friend who you only hang out with in groups. But if you genuinely vibe with someone and you want to get to know them, then go ahead and do it. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised that life is more beautiful with friends, and there's no limit to the amount of them you can have. So like, go out there and make some. You know, easier said than done. Easier said than done, but for real, for real. Yeah, at least, you know, one or two, and yeah, try your best. Authenticity, though, I mean, truly is just the most important thing, and this will be the last topic I touch on for today. I do want to make more videos about this topic, and I think I want to make one specifically on this. This is just a rant style video, and what I want to talk about is authenticity in a relationship, because my God, I was thinking, hold on, blow my nose. God, that pause and unpause feature has my heart. Thank you. I can't believe I didn't realize that was there. Okay. So, authenticity in a relationship is genuinely like the most important thing. I want to talk about it using an example, and it's the trope of like a couple saying to each other, like, I feel like I don't even know you anymore. Why might two people say that? And once again, I want to use another idea, which is you never step in the same river twice. What what is meant by that? What is meant by you never step in the same river twice? That is to say, literally, when you step into a river is a constantly flowing stream of water. It is literally never the same matter that you are stepping into, which is an analogy towards life, life is constantly changing. Everything is always changing. Whether it's a river or whether it's you. You are constantly changing every single day. You wake up and you have changed slightly, whether it is literally the physical matter of your body or it is your ideas, your ideology, your mood, your hormones, your ideas, whatever it may be, you are different. And so people can, can easily grow apart in these ways when they do not stay in contact with with one another, especially when we provide a curated idea towards someone else. Either when a person has their own curated idea. So when you're talking with someone, they have their idea of your idea of them. When maybe when you first meet them, that idea is pretty solid. Like, your idea of them is pretty similar to who they really are. But if this person doesn't open up with you, you don't talk to them enough, and you don't experience life enough together, and you don't talk about your experiences, you don't catch up with this person, they are slowly going to drift away from the ideal that you have of them, until you might be looking at the same person, but you're still imagining them as this ideal that they no longer are, and vice versa. And so eventually you might just end up as, hey, who even are you anymore? You've changed so much. You've changed so much, and I don't even know you anymore, right? Friendships are like this. Relationships are like this, and it hurts even more when it's relationships, because oftentimes we open up the most to these people, and if it's not reciprocated properly or what have you, then it can hurt so terribly badly. So I think authenticity is just incredibly important, whether it's with your close friends, whether it's with a relationship, whether it's anything. And I think that's part of the beauty of it, is because whatever you water will grow, right? Whatever you water will grow. If you genuinely put the time in to get close to another person and they put the work in right back, and you genuinely keep doing that over and over and over again, your bond to this person, how close you get to them, how many experiences you physically share with them, and I think that's an incredibly underrated proportion of it. If you live, say you have like an online relationship or something, right? Like, you can have that, and that can be amazing as long as you're in contact with one another, but until you actually meet up and start experiencing life together, experiencing experiences together, I believe is one of the most important things for like long-term relationships, because you're literally physically experiencing the same thing together, and you get to talk about it, you get to bond over it, and you get to pull away similar life experiences. You get to combine, especially if you talk about it. Say, you go do something with a friend, and then you can sit and talk about it afterwards. You've just bonded, and you've just taken both of your experiences and combined them into one. Now you and this person literally have a combined experience, both like physically and what you remember you did together, and ideologically what you both gained from it is combined. So you're closer in almost every single way. And it's just like, that can create something so beautiful. That's how you get the old couple that is still madly in love. That's how you get good parenting. That's how you get good relationships in general. Like, you get strong, healthy relationships by spending time with people, opening up to them, being yourself with them, and continuing and choosing to do so. Love is not just a feeling, it is an action. It is choosing to do something. It is choosing that person over and over and over again. It is choosing, hey, I want to keep being close with you. I want that. I want to keep doing everything I can to keep building that bridge between us, maintaining that bridge between us, so that both of us can have a beautiful view towards one another, and can both walk into one another's lives, and it can be an amazing thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. 50 minutes in, it's one of my longer ones. Yeah, I guess we're near the end, so most people aren't going to see these, but I was like, I've had a weird night, and recording this video has been part of helping me with that. I'm still processing a lot when it comes to my relationships with people around me, some of the people around me. And it can be hard when you feel like maybe someone isn't being as authentic with you as you'd want for them to be. Like there's a disconnect, like there's a gap between you. And truly, I think the most important thing you can do is just do your best. Don't let evil win. Don't let fear win. Let love win. Let your want be known. Let your want be heard, and do what you can to make it happen. And if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. And I don't mean that in some mystical, esoteric way. I mean that if this person doesn't want to put the work in, then you'll know and they won't. But if it is meant to be, if they truly care about you, then it'll be done. You won't have to worry about it. And if it's not, then you can hurt, and that's okay. And we need friends when we're hurting. So go make some, man. Yeah. So don't judge your friends. Just make everyone in your life feel loved. If you love them, you should let them know. Don't make them guess. Don't make them hurt. Don't forget that you never know how many times someone's words will echo in their mind. Oh, shit, I messed that up. Don't be afraid. Don't forget that you never know how often your words will echo in someone else's mind. What might seem like an innocuous comment to you might play in someone's head over and over. It might touch on an insecurity that they don't even remember they had. And it might rip away at something that was already raw to the point where it might not be the same. So, be nice. Be nice. The world is full of so much hurt. We don't need more of it. We need to make people feel okay again. People want to be good. People want to do good things, but they're hurt and they're afraid and they're unable. And all we can do is try to be the change we want to see in the world and bring back the joy that we all deserve, the trust that we all deserve, the safety that we all deserve. We have to be those things for other people so that they can be those things for us and for everyone else around them. Alright, I'm so tired. thank you if you did watch this. I'm shocked if you did. I'm expecting this one to get probably 0 views. That's okay. Alright. Thank you. I love you. If you want to talk to me, type in the comments or something. Someone on one of my previous videos said, keep going, I believe in you. That was really nice. I hope that person has a beautiful day. And maybe if they like these videos, they'll watch this one too. Thank you if you did. That actually really made my day, made my night. So yeah.